All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. It's Christian here with Undefined Engineering. Got my brother Patrick with me. It's been a pretty long stint since we've last done this, about 2 years. A lot has happened in that time period since then. But as for us, the mission's still the same. We're here to navigate that early career journey, graduating college, entering the workforce, and what you're expected to see after that moving forward. Yeah. Excited to be back. Super happy to start this again. I know we've been wanting to do this for a while, but life has been pretty busy. Patrick, how have you been doing?
Doing pretty good. Graduated last year. Moved states, so it's been pretty busy.
Moved states. Yeah, you're not in Texas anymore. That was a pretty big move. How was that? How's it been? Where you at now for everybody?
Moved to Denver, Colorado for work. Love Colorado. Have a lot to say about the job that we'll get into.
Yeah. I'm sure you do have a lot to say, a lot to share. I know a bit of the details, but I'm sure everyone will be excited to hear. So let's get started. Since the last time we were on this podcast, had you graduated yet? I don't think you'd graduated yet, right?
No.
You're about to. You were in the middle of an internship with GM, right?
Yeah, I had 3 semesters left. The last podcast we did.
Now you're out here, 6 months into the workforce?
Yeah.
Nice. Last internship you had was GM, right? Manufacturing engineering?
Yeah, it was GM in Michigan.
Ooh. Michigan, Texas, Colorado. Which one's your favorite?
I mean, I know most about Texas, but Colorado's pretty sick.
What about Colorado?
The weather and the mountains.
The weather?
Yeah,
it
was
miss
like
the dry 110 heat we have here?
It was like above 90 for like a week, and it's already in the 70s again.
Yeah. Nice. That's awesome.
So it's really nice.
Oh, I guess we should probably touch back on, because if we have new people that watch this, I mean, we haven't done this in 2 years, right? When did you graduate, and where did you graduate from, and what did you graduate with?
Okay, so graduated with Bachelor's of Science in Mechanical Engineering. Graduated from UTSA, University of Texas at San Antonio, December 2023, so last year.
Nice. As for myself, I graduated as well from the University of Texas at San Antonio, studied mechanical engineering, started at University of Texas at Dallas, and after graduating, I worked at a couple of different places. First place was Toyota, where I was quality engineer for them for a while. Then I transitioned to Austin and worked for Tesla for a bit, for about 2 years almost. Was also a quality engineer for them on their Cybertruck and Model Y lines. Got to get into the Model Y line right when Gigafactory Texas launched, which was pretty freaking awesome. And then was there when we started building and launching the Cybertruck line, which was a crazy experience. There's not enough time on the planet to go over everything that happened in such a short time period there, and that was a pretty remarkable part of my work experience. And then from Tesla, I moved to Dallas, and now I work for a company, smaller, more startup-related company called Shield AI, where we work on autonomous drones. Autonomous drones. Our main product, I would say, is our AI hive mind. I'd say we're more of a software-related company that is very good at making hardware, and that's where I am on the side of the house. I work on low voltage electronics, essentially making sure our product is good from design to customer, which is pretty freaking awesome. Really liking the small startup environment compared to some of the bigger places I've worked at. Yeah. Pretty cool. It's been a while, man. I feel like
you like
all
Dallas?
Of that huh?
You like Dallas?
Liking Dallas, dude. I freaking love Dallas. Out of all the places I've lived, oh yeah, way better than Austin. I know that's going to be a hot take for a lot of people, but Austin gets old real fast. I guess it's fun if you live in like the inner city, but I lived on the outskirts, so it really wasn't that cool to me. I feel like I'm in Frisco right now. I feel like Frisco has a better music scene than Austin ever did. And that's on facts.
That's crazy.
No, I'm just kidding. It doesn't have a better music scene. I just like it. But a lot more small towny.
Yeah.
With Dallas being right here, too. It's very easy to get out there. All right, sweet. Nice little catch-up refresher. I feel like that went kind of smooth, right? A lot smoother than we thought it was going to be. So it has been a while. Tell me, Patrick, how was the transition from college to getting a job? Like, was that process hard for you? I know we talked about starting it, but yeah.
It wasn't hard, I guess. It was stressful in terms of like, okay, getting your resume ready and identifying kind of where you want to be after graduation. Because for me, I didn't want to just apply everywhere. I had like target cities I wanted to be at. And I think when I was applying, the job market was getting to where it is now, which is really bad. So it's not as bad as it is now, but the job market definitely wasn't the best when I was applying. So I applied to probably close to 100 jobs and got like a handful of interviews and a handful of offers.
And keep in mind, you had multiple internships, and what was your GPA when you graduated?
3.89. Just 3.89. Missed out on SUMA.
That's tough. So you had a near perfect GPA with internship experience, and you still thought it was tough to find a job post-college.
Yeah. It was rejection after rejection after rejection.
So for the ones that you did end up getting callbacks for, like what separated somewhere like that rejected you versus somewhere that gave you that interview opportunity? Was there anything you did different to get those?
No, I think just in terms, there was a difference in like the description of the jobs. Like some of them were obviously entry level, like they wanted new grads, and some of them were like, oh, little to no experience, to where they'd probably be getting people with like 2 to 4 years of experience already, and they're definitely going to take them over someone who just graduated college. So I feel like I mainly got calls back from like the jobs that were very clear it was entry level.
Yeah. I feel like that's a pretty common thing. I know for new grads, breaking into like, this might sound weird, but for new grads, I think breaking into a larger company is much easier than breaking into a smaller company. I know the larger companies will have those like, what's it called? The engineering rotational programs, where they have the luxury of like getting a bunch of new grads in from top universities, putting them in a rotational program where they like learn the cross-functional aspect of every engineering team, and then like after 2 years they get to interview and join a team that they fit in with the best, which is pretty cool.
It's probably because
I know like
the big companies have the margins, right, to do that.
Yeah.
So they can lose money for a little bit training someone, but like the small companies need value added like right away.
Exactly.
So
yeah, you hit the nail right on the head. Those smaller companies, like even though they'll post a singular open position for an entry level candidate, they need someone that's going to be able to perform like right away. And I know a lot of those smaller companies don't have the luxury of like full on hands on training a new grad engineer for a long period of time. They just don't have that luxury, which is tough, but just natural, I guess, for the overall business. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I forgot. We do have another big update since last time we did this. I got married.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
In February.
Taken man now. Yeah.
That's a pretty big
February
update.
this year, a couple months ago.
Yeah.
It's been
Yeah,
a
I
fun
feel
time.
like my first job was like a medium-sized company.
The medium-sized company.
I don't know if I mentioned this in previous podcasts, but I have had a pretty severe like ankle injury. So I kind of had to prioritize that when picking my first job because I was still very much healing. So my first job was hybrid, and in Colorado, so it's pretty sick.
Nice. How's that ankle doing now?
Slow, getting better, slowly but surely. Very annoying. But at least I'm finally like, I feel like I have the energy and I'm ready to go into like back into manufacturing where I want to be.
Yeah, manufacturing's where it's at. You'll always need bodies in manufacturing, which is nice.
Yeah.
All right. So, moving past the catch up and the what we've been doing for the past couple of years, let's get into like after college. What did you end up doing? Like what type of role did you end up taking?
Yeah. So, I got a job at a utility company. So they do natural gas designs, and they're a consulting firm. So they'll work with like your local utility to build out like compressor stations, distribution stations, and things like that. So a little more on the civil side and design side.
What's the name of the company? Or do you not want to share?
Entrust.
Entrust? Sweet. Let's see. These guys right here?
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Let's go ahead and allow cookies. Go into them a little bit. Where would be a good place to look at? Oh, about us. They're perfect. So how big is this company?
It's pretty big. It's a pretty big like utility design firm. I don't know. They have offices all over the country.
Nice. What's your time been like what's like the overall experience that you've had with them while working there?
So, that's loud.
I'll go ahead and
Yeah, so I actually really liked it because we had a hybrid schedule. So we only went out on Wednesdays. And I loved my bosses. My coworkers were awesome. They brought in like 5 new hires, which is what they usually do in all the offices around the country. Of course, it wasn't like I wasn't super excited about it because all my jobs were manufacturing. But I was like, it's in Colorado, awesome. And I get to rest my ankle, awesome. So my boss, still, I think he's awesome. I think it's a job where it really depends who your boss is and who you work with, which I think is a lot of other jobs. So the Denver office was awesome, but I just got unlucky with the timing, which if you want me to get into that, do you want me to get into it?
Yeah, no, we can save that for later, but
all right.
What exactly did you do for or are you doing for Entrust?
So as a design engineer, you get placed on a project that's currently ongoing. So I was on the gas utilities team / side of things. So we had a contract with Excel, which is the local utility, and they would need, we need to update all these regulator stations. So you would just get assigned a station, and you'd work with a project engineer and a drafter to draft new drawings of the station, how it's built out, the grading, and you just review the drawings and work back and forth basically till it's done.
Nice. How aggressive are those timelines for the projects that you work on? Are they like, you need this done by next week, or is it like this is due in a couple months?
It depends. Some of them would be like, it needs to be getting built next month, which would be pretty stressful. But most of them were like long timelines, like 4 to 6 months and even a year or 2.
Nice. That's pretty cool. Did you ever when you were designing the product or whatever it is, the system that you were putting into place, did you ever get to see that be built in front of you, like the final product?
No, all the things I worked on so far was planned to get built next year, early next year.
Hmm.
But I saw like projects being built, but I didn't really get to work on the early stages of those because I was still in school.
Okay, well that's still pretty cool.
Yeah,
I'm sure you'd see that in the future. Do you know if like what's the structure? Do you know if like the higher level engineers are out on site while these things are getting built, or
yeah. It's usually the project engineers that go out there and the director, but sometimes they'll have the design engineer go out there just to learn and
for like consulting
see
and stuff?
what they're working on. Because usually,
Nice.
as a design engineer, you don't interact with the what is it called? The clients and the contractors who are building it.
Yeah, I think that's that's pretty normal in the industry, I would say. I don't know about utility, but I know manufacturing, the design engineers aren't typically interacting with the customers.
Yeah.
Cool. Guess we could go over where I'm currently at right now too.
Yeah, I was gonna say that if you want to go over what you do.
Let's go ahead and share the screen again. Alrighty. So this is where I am at right now currently. This
It
is
looks so
Shield
much
AI.
cooler.
Yeah, the videography team is really putting in work here. Actually, some people may have seen this company. They're featured in a Netflix documentary. It's called Killer Robots. Our robots don't kill people. They're not weaponized right now.
Right now.
Right now, yeah. They are purely reconnaissance aircraft, so they're unmanned vehicles that perform reconnaissance for like local or governments, the military, whatever customer. We're a contractor, so we aren't directly employed by the government. We're just contracted with them.
Yeah.
And Shield has some pretty cool products, and a pretty cool mission. So the mission here is mainly centered around this: the greatest victory requires no war. They essentially want to protect service members and civilians through the use of like autonomous, warfare. Just remove as much risk from the lives of our fellow Americans as much as possible. It's pretty cool. We've actually done some pretty awesome testing where we've had our AI pilot fight against actual pilots in simulated battles, and our AI pilot has completely destroyed our human counterparts, which is pretty crazy. Big reason for that, the AI pilot is not afraid of dying, so it will do crazy maneuvers to get a kill.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's awesome. Right here is our product line. Currently, we have the AI pilot that's inside of our F-16 fighter jets, still in testing. Then we have the VBAT, which is like your more typical UAV drone. But the cool thing about this one is it has a vertical takeoff and vertical landing feature, which is pretty freaking cool to see happen in front of you. You can see it in this picture. It just takes off vertically, flips in the air, flies, and has that payload on the front end that can do all the reconnaissance you want. Mainly used for like drug trafficking detection and stuff like that. Then we have the Nova 2, and this Nova was the one that was featured in the Killer Robots documentary. This one essentially would go out with like service members or military teams to do interior mapping. That way we could eliminate the risk of like soldiers going into buildings and having to face like enemy gunfire or traps or things like that inside. We could just send a drone in, completely map out the interior structure of the building, and then ensure it's safe for like people to go in and I guess do whatever it is that they need to do going into the building. It's pretty cool. It's a very small company. Well, not very small. It's a pretty small company compared to where I was previously. Like I think Tesla had like over 200,000 employees, and this place has around 600, and they are actively super recruiting. With the mindset that, similar to Tesla, with the mindset that only the top 1% of applicants should be accepted, which I agree with. I think it's a strong mission, and I think we should only be taking in the best people who want to help that mission. Yeah, that's that's the company. What I do here is I'm a quality engineer for the VBAT itself. So let's see here. This guy here, all of the avionics and low voltage systems, which is pretty much all the electronics inside of this aircraft, I am responsible for ensuring that it is up to our standards and our customer standards. And that doesn't just mean, a lot of people have a misconception about quality engineering where it's just like, ensuring design is conforming to our specifications. I think it's a lot more than that. It's that is part of it, but a huge part, which I really like, is like root causing issues and driving fixes and improvements in design. So like a lot of the times, I'm not sure if you've experienced this, but especially earlier in their career, design engineers have never interfaced with manufacturing before, so they don't really understand like how their design affects the assembly and production of a vehicle. So let's say you can build like one of these a month, right, per the design, and you want to scale to like 10,000 of these a month. Well, there's a lot of design considerations, which is like design for manufacturing, that has to go into how you design that product. Anything from like where you place nut fasteners to how you define like trailing or leading edges to mating surfaces, like that stuff. All of that stuff has to be taken into consideration when designing a product, and that stuff is like what's super, super exciting to me. It's just like, how can we make this so perfect that we can repeatably and reliably just make this over and over and over in a super quick time period. It's super fun. Well, it's fun to me. It might not sound fun to everyone. Pretty cool. Go ahead and stop.
No, that's sick.
Any questions on that?
No, maybe because you mentioned there recruiting, like would for like people watching, I guess, like would you look for candidates with like quality engineering experience, stuff like that? Like what type of internships?
So for like early in their career, so this is one of those weird situations that I was talking about with like smaller companies versus bigger companies. This is like a smaller company, so generally everybody that's getting hired at a smaller company like this has to be like a subject matter expert, and a subject matter expert is something that like someone with experience and past and training, essentially, a subject matter expert is like someone who has a lot of experience, essentially. So that's the type of person that typically gets hired at companies like this. Doesn't mean that entry-level candidates don't get hired at places like this in general, though. There are certain positions like at smaller places that open up, like drafting positions. If a company is scaling super fast and they find that their lean teams aren't able to do a lot of the heavy lifting required with like scaling a company super duper fast, they'll hire lower level engineers to do that heavy back end work, learn how the things are designed, and then transition into like, okay, I'll take lead on the next one. I'll design this product. I know exactly what went into the last one. I know what did work. I made all the updates to make sure it was able to be launched to manufacturing in time. So now I have that experience and I'll move forward. So I would say those positions are like what the early entry-level candidates should look for, in my opinion. Yeah.
Okay.
But I wouldn't go for anything that's too broad in scope, because, I mean, those positions will need a lot of experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I've really enjoyed this company so far. Very, very, very similar to Tesla, just on a smaller scale.
That makes sense.
Cool. In terms of like what you do for work, would you say school sets you up to be successful for that?
I feel like even in all my internships and stuff, I feel like there were some classes, like if you took like a lean manufacturing class or you took like a special materials class, I feel like those helped. But in general, I guess maybe just understanding some concepts and how things work. So like for some of the stations we did and stuff, we have taken like consideration like thermo properties, like heat transfer. Like is the gas gonna freeze at this velocity, at this elevation? If it goes from this to this, is it gonna freeze? Do we need a heater and stuff like that? But I feel like most things I've done, it's like mostly on the job learning.
Nice.
Like I have some things I pull from, but for the most part I feel like in a lot of ways I think of like college and school as just like proof that you can get through something hard and learn. So that way when you get to a job you can learn fast just like you did in school.
I agree. For the most part, I think specialized majors, yeah, maybe you'll be more set up for, like if you're an electrical engineering major, obviously a mechanical engineer can't go into like an EE design role and be set up for success in the way like an electrical engineering major could go into an EE design role, be set up for success. But there is a lot of stuff that you learn on the job. I'd say majority of the things you learn is on the job, and your degree is like that ticket to getting there.
Yeah. It's like a 4-year, what's it called? Tryout.
4-year tryout. See if
to
you
just
can,
get past the first stage.
And I do think school sets you up well in a way of like being able to logically think through problems or projects. Project management, school helps a lot with. It's really, I'd say, things that people take people take for granted is that like school will give you a deadline to do something. Like say you have a project due at the end of the year, right? And it's completely up to you to work with like the people close to you to make sure that project is executed on. It's the same way in the workforce. Like you get a project at work, it's completely up to you to build that team and be extreme owner of making sure that thing is executed on. And that's the only difference is you get paid for it when you're at work, which is nice. Yeah. School versus work, which did you think was harder?
School.
I agree too. I thought school was way harder than work.
Well, because I feel like
yeah.
Well, I don't know how it is. I haven't had a full-time position in like manufacturing where things are going like 24/7.
I mean, it's hard, but
like, yeah, I feel like it's hard how school is hard to where like you have homework, classes, constant responsibilities. But I feel like at school, on top of all that responsibility, you have 3 big exams coming up.
Mm-hmm.
When work, I feel like you're getting paid and it's constant work, but it ends. Like you don't have to stress about some really big thing that would make everything you've done not matter if you don't do good.
Yeah, that's
I mean, sometimes you do, like deadlines and like project or product, what is it called, launches and stuff, but
yeah,
I
agree.
I hate tests.
Man, testing was just the worst, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, don't get
I
me
couldn't
started
sleep sometimes from the exams.
Yeah. All right, sweet. Oh, we're already coming up on 30 minutes. That was pretty... Oh, that flew by. Huh. Sweet. All right. Well, I guess we'll conclude our introduction back into the podcasting world here. Next week, we'll leave that TBD while we plan out and brainstorm what we want to do next week. But It'll be a good one. Thanks, everybody and anybody who's listening to this podcast. We're super happy to be back. I know Patrick is over there in Colorado just twiddling his toes in excitement because we're doing this again. And I'm definitely over here just absolutely going crazy in my seat because this is super fun to do. All right. Patrick, any closing remarks you want to give, or you want to just
No,
leave it till
I think
next
that was
week?
a good ending and good start to coming back and doing these again.
All right, sweet. We'll catch y'all later. Thanks for tuning into the Undefined Engineering Podcast. Peace out.